Halloween is supposed to be a night of fun, candy, laughter, scary costumes, and harmless pranks. But sometimes, behind the fake smiles and glowing pumpkins, real horror hides in plain sight. These are 3 true Halloween stories that will make you think twice before opening your door at night. The first story happened in 2016 in a small suburban neighborhood outside Denver, Colorado. A 23-year-old woman named Jenna was house-sitting for her parents while they were away for the weekend. She'd set up decorations, lit a few candles, and was handing out candy to trick-or-treaters who came by. Around 9:30 p.m., the streets were quieting down. Most kids had gone home and she was getting ready to turn off the porch light and call it a night. That's when she heard a knock. It wasn't a light tap. It was firm, slow, deliberate. She grabbed the candy bowl and opened the door slightly. Standing there was a man, not in a costume, not smiling. He was tall, wearing a dark jacket and holding a flashlight. "Evening, ma'am," he said in a calm, controlled voice. "Police. We're going around letting residents know there's been a report of some vandalism in the area. You alone tonight?" Jenna froze. The man didn't look like a cop. He wasn't wearing a uniform, just regular clothes. No badge, no radio, just that flashlight and a cold stare. She kept the chain lock on the door and asked him to show his badge. He hesitated. "Ma'am, it's nothing serious. Just checking around." He smiled, but it wasn't the kind of smile that puts you at ease. It was too wide, too forced. Jenna repeated, "Show me your badge." The man's expression changed. His fake smile dropped. "Listen," he said a little louder now, "I just need to make sure you're safe." He tried to push the door slightly, but the chain caught it. Jenna slammed it shut and locked it completely. Her heart was pounding. She grabbed her phone and called the actual police. 10 minutes later, 2 uniformed officers arrived. Real ones this time. They checked around the house, the yard, the street. There was no sign of the man. But then one of the officers pointed at the side of the house. Fresh boot prints in the dirt, leading from the back door all the way around to the front porch. Whoever he was, he'd already been there before he knocked. The officer told her she did the right thing not to open the door. The next morning, she checked the home security footage her dad had installed months earlier. At exactly 9:26 p.m., the camera caught a man walking around the back of the house, shining a flashlight through the windows. He wasn't checking for vandalism. He was checking if she was alone. The footage was sent to the police, but the man was never found. Jenna never stayed in that house again without someone else there. The second story takes place in a small Ohio town in 2019. A group of high school friends, Kyle, Marcus, and Dylan, were driving around late Halloween night, playing horror music and daring each other to visit a supposedly haunted house on the edge of town. It was an old farmhouse that had been abandoned for years. People said a family once lived there and mysteriously disappeared on Halloween night decades ago. The property was fenced off, but that didn't stop the boys. They parked the car down the road, hopped the fence, and walked through the tall grass toward the back of the house. The air was cold and still. The only sound was the crunch of their shoes and the occasional rustle of leaves. The windows were boarded up. The front door was sealed with a wooden plank, but the side door was slightly open, swinging back and forth in the wind. Marcus joked, "Ladies first," and Kyle laughed, pushing him forward. Inside, the air was thick with dust. Cobwebs covered the corners, and old furniture sat under white sheets like ghosts frozen in time. They used their phone flashlights to look around. Kyle swore he heard whispering upstairs. The others laughed, but then they all heard something. Footsteps above them. Slow, heavy footsteps moving from one end of the ceiling to the other. "Someone's up there," Dylan whispered. They thought maybe another group of kids had the same idea, so Marcus yelled, "Hey, we know you're up there." No answer. Just another creak. They started up the staircase, each step groaning louder than the last. When they reached the top, the hallway was empty. The doors to the rooms were all open, but one door, the one at the end, it was closed. Kyle pushed it open slowly. Inside was a child's bedroom. Old toys scattered across the floor, a small wooden bed, and drawings pinned to the wall. The air felt colder in that room. Dylan's flashlight started to flicker. Then he froze. There were fresh footprints in the dust, small ones like a child's, leading from the bed to the corner of the room. "Okay, let's go," Kyle said, but Marcus was staring at the wall. The drawings weren't normal. Each one showed the same thing. 3 stick figures standing outside the house, looking in through the windows. 3 figures, just like them. A sudden bang came from downstairs like a door slamming shut. They ran down, but the side door, the one they came through, was now locked tight. The front was still nailed shut. They were trapped. Marcus tried to pull the door, but something on the other side was pushing it back, hard. "There's someone out there," he shouted. They ran to a window, broke it with a chair, and climbed out one by one, cutting their hands on the glass. When they got to the car, Marcus turned on the headlights and froze. The beams lit up the house, and in one of the upstairs windows, a small figure stood watching them. Child, pale, unmoving, just staring down. They sped off without looking back. The next morning, Kyle's mom found a piece of paper tucked under their windshield wiper. It was one of the drawings from the house. 3 stick figures standing outside the window. The third story happened just last year in a quiet cul-de-sac in Oregon. A man named Paul had recently moved into a small house after a divorce. He wasn't much into Halloween, but he left a bowl of candy outside with a sign that said, "Take one." Around midnight, after watching TV, he decided to step outside and blow out the candles on his porch pumpkins. That's when he noticed something strange. The candy bowl was gone. Not just empty, gone. He looked around but didn't see anyone. The street was silent, no kids, no cars. He shrugged it off and went back inside. Around 15 minutes later, there was a soft knock on his door. Not loud, just 3 slow knocks. He thought maybe some kids were still out late. He opened the door. No one there, just the empty porch and the faint sound of wind. He closed the door and locked it. Then came another knock, this time from the back door. He froze. His backyard had no lights, just darkness beyond the sliding glass door. He walked slowly, turned on the porch light, and looked outside. Nothing. He turned off the light, but as he did, he caught his reflection in the glass, and behind it, just barely visible, a shape moved. Someone was standing in the yard. He grabbed his phone, called 911, and whispered that someone was outside his house. The operator told him to stay inside and wait for the officers to arrive. As he moved away from the door, he heard it again. Knock, knock, knock. Only now from the side of the house. Then the back, then the front. 3 knocks each time, moving around like someone circling the house. The lights flickered. He could hear faint laughter outside, like kids trying to hold it in. But the voices didn't sound young. They sounded deeper, slower, almost mocking. "Happy Halloween," one of them whispered near the window. Paul grabbed a kitchen knife and crouched behind the couch, staring at the front door. Then silence. Not a sound. A minute passed, then another. The police arrived 7 minutes later. They searched the property, found nothing. No one outside. But on the porch, near where the candy bowl had been, they found a small Halloween mask. It was plain white, with just 2 holes for eyes. And inside the mask, tucked carefully, was a piece of candy. The same kind Paul had left in the bowl. He moved out a month later. The new tenant said she sometimes hears knocking at night, always 3 knocks, from different parts of the house. And sometimes she finds small pieces of candy left on the porch in the morning. Halloween is supposed to be fun, but every year there are stories like these, moments where the line between trick and terror disappears. So this year, if you hear a knock after midnight, maybe don't answer. Halloween only comes once a year, but fear doesn't care about the calendar. For some people, it shows up on their doorstep disguised as a friendly knock, a costume or a smile that lasts too long. And when it does, it doesn't always leave when the night ends. So this Halloween, when the candy's gone and the laughter fades, take one last look out your window before you turn off the lights. Because sometimes the scariest part of Halloween isn't what's hiding in the dark. It's what's watching from it.